All right, good evening. Ken at Tortoise Capital Weekend Strategy Podcast for Friday night, January 19th, 2024. We'll start with the uh, hybrid swing portfolio on 30-minute charts, as always, beginning with Alcoa. This is our one-day look-back period, this yellow box. That's today's price action. The blue box is a 5-day look-back, and it marks off the high and the low as the top and bottom of that box. And then this darker outline blue box is the 10-day. And that's sort of a reasonable look back period to establish the context for swing trading. We're using our form of MACD histogram down here with a red river that reflects the normal location of the signal line. And so we call that the red river. When it leaves the Red River and re-enters the Red River, those are statistically significant moments and potential turnaround points when you see that out of the Red River and it is selling off hard, and then it starts to improve. You notice that that is slightly better. It's the failure to fail further that gets our attention. So we're starting with Alcoa. Yesterday we had that nice gap up and then fail, and today it's stabilized during the day and then participated with the broader market move. And we bought the PSAR flip with the standard risk, and it closed so well. And it's so far off the 10-day high that we have a lot of opportunity for playing catch up on that one. And in fact, you'll notice that the reward to risk back to the 10-day high is over 4-1. So that's one that I'm not worried about holding on to. We have a buffer of about 2R on that one. AI, same, essentially same trade, only that's holding about 3R. Long way to go to victory. Caterpillar. This one is a real success story for us. This one also shared that general sell-off. And then yesterday we got the COTA 2 entry, and so we were able midday to get a position in that closed well. Today, with that buffer, it did not fail and then resumed. And as soon as it took out yesterday's high, we added that second position and it closed well. So we're actually holding 4R on that position, and it has cleared this gap. And now it's going to start competing to go back to the 10-day high, and we have a nice cushion on that one. Cliff, uh, also the big slide, even more pronounced than Caterpillar. We got the morning turnaround, actually like late morning, lunchtime turnaround, and we're holding an R. That one feels good. CVS, no trade today. It was sideways and compressed. Diamonds, this was just the win of the day. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on this one. So diamonds have been relatively strong. And yesterday we got a COTA 2 entry in the usual way. And that was moving up towards the close very nicely. So we added a position. And when it closed here, we kept it. And we were holding about 4R overnight. Now, today it gapped up and then just took off. So we added a third position. It was the strongest index. So we added a fourth position and a fifth position to pile on the fact that the large caps in the US were just being uh, crazy strong today. And when it took out the previous peaks, that's all rising highs. Now there's an exit that we make right here after it peaks at about 379.5. The question for you to answer is how much do you decide of your 5 positions, do you decide to offload over the weekend, or do you add to the position? And now for reference, we're just going to total up how much we have here. So this position is holding 6R, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is holding 4R. This one is holding 2. This one's holding 2, and that one's holding 1. So this is a case where you have 15R in hand. That means for every $100 you entered, if you're using standard position size, you're holding 1,500 in profit. So now your position size is large though, and you want to maintain this as a swing because you have cleared this resistance and you're at an all-time high. So now the question is, how much of that position, if any, do you offload? That's a good problem to have. I think a very conservative way to play that would be to keep 2, so you have a double size position, and then you sell 3, and what you do is you take advantage of that windfall. The other side of this is you say, if there was ever a index that was going to explode on Monday, as people think about the power behind the meaning of an all-time new high in the US markets, that would be one that you would not be surprised if there was a strong gap up on that Monday morning. Now we know how to add to positions if it keeps going, but to me, for the long term, I want to have some exposure to that, but I don't know that I want to have 5 times a normal position. On the other hand, other hand, this is DIA and it's the Dow Jones 30 Industrials, the greatest companies in the world from the US. So I would not be offended at whatever decision you make as long as you were balancing short-term opportunity and longer-term risk. For me, keeping 2 and selling 3 gives me more ammunition to be flexible on Monday and reduces my overnight over the weekend risk, and so I could sleep better. And so I ended up selling 3, which is basically those. And I treated those as the accelerated gift. And now I'm holding those 2 positions as my entry. So I have a really wide uh, basis of entry on those. So that's a good problem to have. This is Disney. And so yesterday we were long from here. It gapped all the way up to here and started selling off. So we kept 3. It sold off to here and then started to recover. And as it comes through the dragon and the PSAR is holding and the river is rolling up and the VWAP is rising, we re-entered here and are holding 3R on that second iteration of trades. So we actually made the improvement by exiting here and then re-entering there. We made bank on that extra 2R in that transaction. Devon Energy was a scratch from yesterday. Emerging markets, we entered and are holding 4R. This is one that I almost never hold overnight because of the gap problem that it has. But if there was ever a condition in which the upside gap is possible, it's now. And it has a long way to go to the upside, and it cleared this previous gap. I'm willing to take that risk. And it's only one position. Ethereum, morning hook, 4R, holding it. Mexico got a second position in, holding 6R. Brazil cashed 1R. It just lacked the same energy that Mexico had. Intel, huge, huge gain. And we talked about this one at length last night about old school tech being poised for an explosive move. And the trigger was it blasted through its VWAP eclipses the peak of the dragon. It's testing this thing. You got to get involved in that one. And I liked it a lot, but I had exposure to the broad index of DIA, so I cashed 4R on Intel, but that's one that I'm looking to get right back on board on Monday. IP, 2R in the usual way, real estate, 3R, and everything is like a morning hook or a out of two buy-in momentum. Coca-Cola, we exited this one when it started to fail. And so we had two positions in. I was glad to be out of it. It did not participate in the afternoon run up, so I would just as soon be out of that one altogether. KRE, the regional banks dominated today. That's 4R. McDonald's, huge. Yesterday's reentry, which closed well, and then today's gap and go, and it held at the edge of the dragon at the low of the day. And then when it eclipsed the previous high of the day, it was time to re-enter. And now we're holding about 12R on two positions, and this is really poised to go. McDonald's, it's the opposite of tech, but it's a sign of the times that that's really doing well. Merck, we cashed yesterday's entry for 3R. Microsoft, we added a second position after yesterday's re-entry, and we're holding two positions with about 7R into the new week over the weekend. That's at an all-time high. Can't be afraid of that one. Marijuana, we're speculating in with a 4R cushion and holding that after that morning rocket just took off. I think it has a good chance to go test this high, and it could get above 9 easily on Monday. And if it does, watch for a bunch of new money to come into that. Nike cashed 3. NVIDIA was another big keeper. Yesterday's entry paid us for holding on to it. Got the second position in when it cleared resistance and holding about 10R, and it's leading the way. Clean energy, cashed an R. Rivian, scratched. SPY, you can just see the 3-day move on the S&P has been extraordinary. Treasuries, we just noticed it, didn't trade it. Walmart, we got we cashed it when it started to fail in the morning. We watched it fail all the way to here. And then when it took off and crossed the VWAP, we re-entered, and it had a nice move for a large cap, but it really started showing some weakness, and there was no extra reason to want to hold that one, so we cashed half an R. And then finally, U.S. Steel. Yesterday's entry was great. We're just letting that thing cruise and go. I really like the way that that is shaping up, and it's only halfway to the previous 10-day high. So I like that, and we have a nice cushion of about 4R. So couldn't be happier with the way that we framed the opportunity in last night's meeting and then executed it today. Hopefully you got a piece of it. We're going to take a look at just the 3-minute intraday sniper trades of the day. A lot of these are opportunity trades, so these are in addition to the swing trades. We have a little extra money on the side ready to play these. And as this started moving out at lunchtime, we got a half an hour, re-entered, and then stumbled into that lucky play for about another 3R. It stabilized. I thought about adding here, not knowing it was going to do that, but Monday will be plenty of time to get a hold of that one. So that worked out pretty nicely. Diamonds we added down in here. Sorry, let me get these marked. Forgot to save this. So the trade is basically that. And that's essentially what it looks like all day. Just taking advantage of that afternoon move. That is industrial strength buying, which you can see reflected in the rapid increase in the VWAP. That little bump right there says there was a ton of volume transacted on the buy side right there, and it followed through all day. And really all the rest of the ones also just look like that. And so I'm not going to rehash all of that, but that's Every one of those was an intraday turbo that we added to the key leaders. And you can see that we picked some useful ones, like Intel was massive all morning. NVIDIA was massive all morning and all day. Um, Ethereum added opportunities as well. So today was a day to find the movers that were leading the way for the S&P North, and it was dominated by tech. We talked about it last night. You've got to be able to go from market to sector to target and pile on when the opportunity is there. That's hybrid trading in a nutshell. Just a quick look at the traders today. This is Hamad. Great job on following through on Caterpillar for almost 2 hour, following through on Boeing for half an hour. Rivian, he gets a quick exit, manages his risk carefully, grinds out, maybe stayed with this a little too long with Devon Energy. When the energy sector is not working and it's not a directional move, cut those losses sooner. Microsoft, this must have been in the aftermarket or something because that was there should have been opportunities for you inside here. I'm not sure that price is the same ones we're working with. Nvidia, nice job taking bites all along the way up there. I would just encourage you to recognize that when you got that rising VWAP and the rising river and that whole market was taking off, that's one that maybe you can be adding positions to instead of taking the really short, sharp exits. Bollinger Band in that case is a really reasonable guide, and you might have been able to stay with that trade and get 2 or 3 positions and bring home 5 or 6 R instead of 2. So you got to strike while the iron is hot. Tesla did not follow through much today, and I'm concerned about them long term. I think they may have they're not market leaders anymore. This is Satya bringing home almost 8R in AMD in the semiconductor space with the tech leadership, and he's doing measured moves inside here. I don't think, Satya, you need to be worrying about shorting the tech sector that day. Although, I mean, these were scratches. I wouldn't be monkeying around with that. I'd be trying to pound that to the long side and getting multiple entries in here, especially from about 1 p.m. onward. Man, the market was on fire to the upside. You got to recognize that as a special opportunity. George, the recovery move in Alcoa was significant. I still believe that I think you're trying to capitalize on the first 30 minutes with a 30-minute bar. And I think if you're using 30-minute bars, you got to give that time unfold. So maybe at 60 minutes or 90 minutes in, this is your prime time for those turnaround points. And I don't think you're exploiting that as much as you could be. Good exit, nice reentry, although it's maybe a little late in the day. And again, this is Rivian. I'd rather see you detecting the big, massive, historical sized moves in the US indexes. I mean, DIA, the Qs, and SPY all went to all-time highs today and were a rocket ship straight up. I think you got to have DIA on your screen all the time and ready to trade that instead of some of these international, narrowly focused companies. I think we're missing the big moves on the indexes. All right, we'll take a look at the weekend report now. Let's see if I can. All right, so we're in bullish normal, significantly overbought in every dimension. The weakness in emerging markets actually reduced the ETF2 exposure a little bit. Volatility is favoring the upside move, and we are in bullish strong trends. This is all systems go to the upside. The RL90 has been a reliable supporter. It crossed the 270. That's a very positive sign for the long term. You can see the acceleration that's happening, and that's an all-time high right there. The 3-day and the 9-day are both well above previous resistance levels, all free and clear. And you can see that we pushed to new. This horizontal purple line used to be the previous all-time high, so there's no resistance overhead. Key factor. The 30-day, you can see today's enormous directional move, leaving all of this behind. We've got to be able to detect that, guys, and get on board breakouts that have all kinds of power behind them and recognize that that's a special opportunity. The 30-minute for the last 2 days, that's why I like it. There's tradable moves galore. It started right from the opening, which had cleared the previous peak of the RL10 almost immediately. So you should be able, and we talked about this last night, you should be able to pound that without fear immediately and then stay with it all day on the intraday breakout. Got to take advantage of that. You got to read it. Uh, Leadership here from the Qs and the spiders. You can add in the XLK is crushing the Qs in terms of tech leaders, and good week for DIA as well. That's the leadership we've been talking about all week. In the Dow 30, the big winners, Travelers, IBM, and Verizon. Intel, the number one in the stack based on the blended. Disney's making a recovery out of the doldrums, but really it's your tech leaders. Microsoft had a great week. McDonald's had a great week. Everything's green in ETF Max. And again, you can see who all the key leaders are. There's finance is doing really well. Sorry. Tech leading the way. This is where emerging markets were slightly below the 4-month average, so it chills a little bit. Energy is lagging, utilities are lagging, tech and finance are leading the way for sure. And the equities are just crushing everything else in the broad asset classes, with the exception of some recovery here starting to happen in U.S. real estate. I believe that's money coming out of the index being stored into U.S. real estate to offload some of the risk of the high prices. Key winners here, no surprises, finance and tech in Mexico. Standard work here on the liquidity and tradability of the top 30 ETFs. No, I mean, the Qs are now half the daily dollar volume of SPY, and IWM is starting to charge ahead as well. That's active traders looking to get growth. Shifting to the daily report, we've seen those already. Let's go to the Dow 30 tactical. Sorry. So big breakouts here. Home Depot, IBM, McDonald's, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Travelers. They've been the leaders for weeks now. And so you got to be focusing on the leaders in a rising market, guys. Let's find the winners when they're moving from the swing trades and then following through intraday. Find the movers. In the ETFs had breakouts in the Dow hit an all-time high. The NASDAQ, the S&P, and XLK, all-time highs. That's the leadership. Trade them. Standard work in the auto framers. These are the ones that have been lagging. And if they play catch up, there's some enormous possibilities. But don't let that blind you to the front runners that are sprinting ahead of the market. All right, that's standard work. Broad-based strength everywhere you look. DIA, SPY, XLK, and the Qs. And The RL10 has reversed, going higher. The RL90 is steaming ahead. And this is probably where the RL30 reverses and starts to work back up after a short period of cooling off. So we're still in early days, and I think we got some more growth to experience in the first couple of days of next week. All right, that's everything for today. We'll get it published and processed. Some good Q&A coming up on Sunday for the foundations course, and we'll see you guys then. Take good care.